Welcome to today's video where we're going to cover the top questions asked about the tonal. Let's jump right in. So let's jump into one of the top questions that gets asked, and that is, what does the resistance feel like? And I compare it to one of the cable machines at the gym. It has that really consistent feel throughout the whole range of motion. So when you start lifting, you feel that same pressure or that same resistance at the very beginning of the motion to the very end, which I personally love. It makes you fight for the movement the whole way through. You can't kind of swing it up like you do a free weight sometime where you can just pull real hard and then at the top end you're just using that momentum to carry it through. It's going to be there so you can do that nice slow movement where you know you're really challenging your muscles, building strength, building size, doing those things you want to. So personally, the feel has been great for me. I really enjoy it. It doesn't have any of that jitteriness. You can't kind of, that movement in your arms where you kind of just, you can feel it bouncing around. It is consistent. It's there the whole way through, and it does a great job of adapting to what you're doing. So resistance wise, that's one of the scariest things because a lot of people don't necessarily know what they're getting into with the tonal, and considering the price point it's at, you don't know if that's going to be something you like or not. And I can tell you, it's been one of my favorite things. The resistance is phenomenal with these things. Do you have to have a subscription to the tonal? Well, as of the recording of this video, yes, for the first 12 months. After that, you can cancel it and just use the free-form version of the tonal, which, to be perfectly honest, even as I pay as a member right now, that's usually what I use. I like to do my own workouts, pick what I want to do, change it up, and not necessarily follow someone else. Now, most people, I think, actually use the programs, and they really enjoy that because the instructors help guide you, teach you, push you, try new things, show you form, do all those good things that is part of that. That's just not necessarily my thing all the time. So for those of you that say, I don't need that, just let me use the tool, let me have this workout machine, I don't need someone else telling me what to do. 12 months, you do have to pay, but then after that, it's whatever you want if you want to cancel. Can you use your own accessories with the tonal? And the answer is yes, you just need some parts to make that happen. And the first is T-lock adapters. Tonal sells these on their website. I'll link everything down below so you know where to find these things. The other thing is a carabiner. T-lock attaches the carabiner, the other end attaches the accessory you want to use. So the accessory needs a way for the carabiner to attach. And a lot of times this is a loop on it or a metal ring, something along those lines. But once you have that set up, use these to connect it and do whatever workout you want with the tonal. How well does a tonal target the entire body as far as a full body exercise and be able to hit all those muscle groups? Well, to be honest, it does really, really well. When you're filtering through it and seeing different exercises, there are all sorts of categories and all sorts of exercises within each of those categories. Upper body, it has a ton of options. I'm very satisfied, and there's a lot of actually unique movements to hit muscles that you normally wouldn't think of. Core, very good there as well. There are some movements you can do outside the tonal that instructs you doing things like planks and lifts and things like that. My only concern with legs is outside of the typical lunges and squats is that you don't have a lot of movements or the attachments to do those kind of movements. So I do recommend getting something like this. It's just an ankle strap, but it allows you to do those kind of side movements, interior movements with your legs just to target different muscles outside of just squats and lunges. They do have other leg workouts, but I think this just helps bring a little more balance and helps you hit other muscle groups within your legs that you normally wouldn't. So that is one thing I recommend. But all in all, the tonal is a great option just to hit your entire body and work on whatever muscle group you really want to. So something a lot of people run into is if their ceilings are going to be high enough for the tonal. And Tonal recommends a ceiling height of 7 foot 10 inches. And the reason for this is the tonal is always installed at the same height, always at the same position. And the reason for that is so that the arms at their lowest setting can always be right next to the ground. So when you're doing any of those movements that pull up from the ground, it's right there next to the floor for you. But that also means that at its highest position, the arms are always going to be at the same height as well. And if you have a ceiling that's too low, you can't click into those highest settings. So what happens if your ceiling's too low and you can't click into that top setting? Well, generally it doesn't mean anything because most people don't always need to have those tall settings. Now, who is this going to be a problem for? Well, basically, as far as I see it, only very tall people. Reason for that is if you have the arms at a certain height and you need to do a movement where you need to reach or extend your arms all the way and you're already tall, you have very long arms and you can't fully extend or do that reach so you can do that range of motion for whatever workout you're trying to do, that could be a problem. So the lower the ceiling comes and the higher your height is, the more likely you are to run into a problem. Now that being said, this is not going to be a problem for most people. I am 6'3", have relatively long arms, and my ceiling is at 7 foot 6 inches. So I can't click into the very top setting. I can do every other setting besides that, and I've yet to have a workout that I've had to alter or that I can't do. Now secondary, if you are taller, you think you might have problems, you can generally alter the workout to still be able to do it. So maybe it's a workout that they would normally have you do standing. Well, maybe you have to do it from a seated position or on your knees or something along those lines, but you can modify and still make it work. And the number of workouts that you run into this problem is slim. Most of them, you really don't need that full height. So like I said, most people are not going to have a problem. But if you have very short ceilings or you're very, very tall, well, then you might want to do some research and figure out if it's going to work for you and ask tonal support. But again, 6'3", 7'6", not a single problem. So you're probably pretty good. I hope this video is helping you learn about the tonal. And if it is and you don't mind, help me out by hitting that like button. It's a huge assist for the channel and I really appreciate it. Do you need to recalibrate your tonal at any given time? And what this means is when you work out on tonal, first of all, you do an evaluation right out of the gate and it calibrates a score for you, understands what it thinks you should be doing for different weight levels or resistance levels as you work out for all these different exercises you can do. And as you keep working out, it keeps evaluating, it keeps increasing those scores as it feels you're ready, and they're constantly changing. And do you ever need to recalibrate those or readjust those? Well, no, not really, because it's always calibrating. So as long as you're working out on a consistent basis, it's going to be tuned into close to what you want. And if it's a little off or maybe a little too low, it'll work its way up over time. Now you can always adjust and say a workout's at 20 pounds. You're like, I know I can do a lot more than that. It registered a little low for whatever reason. Bump it up to 25, 30, whatever you want to do, and it will remember those settings going forward. The only time you might need to recalibrate is if you step away from the tonal for a long time. So maybe you would start getting a lot stronger and then time goes by and maybe it goes 3, 6, maybe longer months and you haven't used it and you know you've gotten weaker and the levels that you used to be at are maybe a little too much. Well, then that's when you might want to go through a recalibration, let it understand what your current strength levels are and start from that point. But other than that, just keep using it and let it figure out where you need to be. Are there wide mount covers available for the tonal? So generally, most people, depending on the stud space in your wall, you can install the tonal and you don't even see anything. You just see the tonal itself. There's nothing sticking out the sides. But if you have a larger distance between your studs, they might have to extend the template or the frame that goes onto the wall, and then the tonal doesn't cover that. And so you see some of that sticking out the sides. And tonal does have covers for these. So I'll place a link to Tonal Store where you can see products that they have available, and that does include this product. That will help you make that look more finished. Should you be doing any regular maintenance with your tonal? Well, they do recommend that you clean it with certain products, that you do a power cycle, and that once a week you pull the cables all the way out and let them retract back in. Very simple stuff. Tonal has it all documented on their website, so I'll toss you a link below. Can you use devices like external speakers or a heart rate monitor with the tonal? And this is one of my favorite things about these new home gym connected fitness options. When I bought this, no, I couldn't. But now, yeah, I can. They pushed an update out that made it available. So I tested my headphones from Peloton. They work great, connected right up, sounded great, worked just like you would expect they would. So if you want headphones, I do recommend these. But if you want an external speaker, I imagine most should work just fine. Now, as far as a heart rate monitor goes, I used my good old Scosh, which I highly recommend. It is a very good unit. Hooked right up, no problems. They both stayed connected fine. As I was working out, I could see my heart rate on the screen. It seemed to go up when you'd expect to, went down when you'd expect it to. Worked exactly like you wanted it to. So very, very smooth. Everything worked great. Was very, very happy with it. And much like the Peloton, I do recommend the Scosh for this because it seems to be the most accurate and easy to use option. Connect them up and start using them. It's that easy. Does Tonal offer anything to organize the accessories that come with it? And no, they don't right now, or at least the time of this filming, but there are options available, and I have a video dedicated to it. I have links to all the parts you'll need to do this. It's super simple and actually pretty cheap to do as well, so very easy solution. Check out the video if you want to know more. If there's anything I missed, throw it down in the comments and I'll try to get back to you, or we can create a second video if there's enough items to cover. Otherwise, remember to subscribe, hit that like button, and until next time, here's to a healthier you, and have a good one.